Hello, and welcome to another edition of History with a Drag Queen. I've actually lost count of what number this is, so we'll call it 11-ish. Hi, I'm Carla Marks. I'm so excited to be back doing History with a Drag Queen. I took a little break because I didn't want to do it, and then I'm like, hey, you know what I like doing? Bullshitting about history, so I'm back. Hi, hey. Special shout out to Oliver Twirl and to LJ Nails for giving me the final push to be like, hey, we really like that. Go do it again. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do it again. So here I am doing it again. Today we're going to talk about a topic that sounds really boring, but is actually kind of wild and really fun. We are going to talk about Romano-Gallic migrations in the 6th century. Stay with me. Don't scroll away. It's actually fun. Okay, so what happens is that in the late 4th century, into like the 300s, into the 400s, the Roman Empire starts crumbling apart. And it's just too big and bloated to kind of continue to work together. And it starts breaking down into gobbling up into smaller little kingdoms. So when we get into like the 500s, Rome is pretty much gone. And in England, modern day Britain, Turf Island, we see there's kind of like this Romano-British culture where there's like some people who are still like, we are still Romans. And there's people like, dude, none of us can make pasta. We are not Italian. And they're like, maybe we're like British. And so there's like this weird fight for like what is going to be the dominant culture at the time. Now, you might think like, okay, so those are British. They're like Roman dudes and they're like British dudes. Sort of, but not really. Because you know where the real Britons got pushed? When like this culture started setting up, a lot of those British guys actually get pushed away because a massive migration happens in the 500s and 600s. We're talking millions of people get on boats and they're like, you know what? This whole like warfare all throughout the continent thing as people try to figure out who's going to be in charge of the former Roman Empire, not our jam. You know what is their jam? Sailing to England. So they do that. So we've got Angles, Saxons, and Utes. Angles is where we get Anglo-Saxon. Saxon is where we get the Saxon part of Anglo-Saxon. And both of those are Germans. And then the Utes, they're Danes. So there's a massive migration of Germans, and Danish, and they go slam it into England and displace the original cultures that were there. And so that means that people that we like to call British, I don't know why we can't say the T in the middle of the word either, they actually get pushed westwards. And so people that we call Welsh now were actually the original Britons. This also goes for people in Kent, but we don't talk about people in Kent for reasons. So, keeping a track here, the Welsh are actually British. The British are actually Anglo-Saxons and Utes, so they're Germans, and Danish. Okay, this is all fine. Not to be left out of the drama, the Scots and the Irish are like, I hate where I live. Like, literally, the Scots who live in Ireland originally were like, you know what I hate? Ireland. And it's like, where do you want to move? Over there. So they move. And then the Picts who were living in Scotland are like, you know what I hate? Scotland. And so they move to Ireland. There's literally like a ships passing in the night moment. It's just like massive amounts of population just switch for some reason. So keeping up, the Irish are actually Scots, the Scots are actually Irish. And then just when you're like, okay, but then the British, they are actually German, Danish. Yeah, but then the Norwegians are like, party, we want to come over too. And there's this massive Viking invasion that is really badly described in The Last Kingdom and in Vikings. And they like come slamming into northern England and they just like make all these Danish, Viking, Norwegian settlements, which is why if you go around like northern England, there's like weird Scandinavian words everywhere, and people are just like, no, those are British. And you're like, no, dude, Utta is not an English word. So yeah, wild. England composed of all sorts of different people. And then like this culture like kind of solidified. Everybody was having fun. And then the Icelanders were like, hey, we want to come and party too. But they had a very specific list of party favors that they were after. And they were in this order: trees, sheep, gold, women. And so there's this wild fact that 75% of male Icelanders have genetic lineages going back to Norway or to Denmark. the women are not the same. That actually 75% of Icelandic women have genetic lineages that come back from the UK Isles, because literally the Vikings went down and stole sheep, trees, and women. They're like, you're gonna love it. We're going back to Iceland, and so they had to. So yeah, there's all sorts of crazy migrations that happened in and around this time, and I just thought you should know about that. That was our topic today for History on a Drag Queen. If you liked this, great, subscribe, like, share it. That would be wonderful. Thank you so much for listening. I've been your host, Carla Marks, and we'll see you again soon. Have a lovely day.